Test, test. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm going to have an intro video on soon. I'm going to throw an intro video on here soon that we can look at before I dive in. And I'm going to need to make this kind of concise. We'll see how well I do because I don't know how much video battery I have. I had to charge my camera last minute. I forgot that Darren and I recorded last night and I forgot to charge. So forgive me if my camera shuts off. If it shuts off, then I'll have to do this another day. But I think we should be able to get through all of it. I'm gonna let some others join. Obviously, you'll have things that come up where this seems like old news. I'm just not good on social media. I'm not good at it. That's one. That's a genuine thing. I'm not good at social media. Two, as a believer, I don't like to fall into the rat race of trying to get to the news first for the sake of clicks. I like being able to provide something that's trustworthy, that's beneficial, that's worthy of sharing, that can actually contribute to someone's growth and to their thinking, to the praise of God's glory. So I want to be able to do that well. And that's not a shot at people who are faster than me, because don't forget, number one, I'm bad at social media. And there are a lot of Christian content makers who are just like good. I swear, I'm a 70-year-old in a 37-year-old's body. So I'm looking forward to the day where I actually get to sit on my lawn and yell at people. But until that day, here I am playing the game. I want to play an intro video for you. Let's look at this. If you're on Instagram, better to join me on YouTube. You can interact with me. You can chat with me in the chat, and I can highlight your things like my boy here, Delos. Let's go. Let's go Ravens. Is that what you mean, Delos? Let's go Ravens. You see it right there in the background, baby. Let's go this Saturday. Ravens to the Super Bowl, baby. Okay. What's good, bro? Good to see you. I'm gonna play this video for you, and then I'm gonna dive in and give you my thoughts and kind of walk us through something really quickly. Let's look at this. Maybe you remember this from one of the award shows. Somebody recently asked me if I watched there was some award show that just happened. I don't think I've ever watched one award show. I've seen clips of it, news of it afterwards. I don't think I've ever watched one award show as far as Hollywood, BT and MTV back when I was a young Baltimorean hood rat. But in my sanctified days, they're just not attractive to me anymore. But maybe you remember this from one of the award shows. Let's look at this.
What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. And I'm especially proud and inspired by all the women who have felt strong enough and empowered enough to speak up and share their personal stories. Each of us in this room are celebrated because of the stories that we tell. And this year, we became the story. But it's not just a story affecting the entertainment industry. It's one that transcends any culture, geography, race, religion, politics, or workplace. So I want tonight to express gratitude to all the women who have endured years of abuse and assault because they, like my mother, had children to feed and bills to pay and dreams to pursue. They're the women whose names we'll never know. They are domestic workers and farm workers. They are working in factories, and they work in restaurants, and they're in academia and engineering and medicine and science. They're part of the world of tech and politics and business. There are athletes in the Olympics, and there are soldiers in the military. And there's someone else, Recy Taylor, a name I know and I think you should know too. In 1944, Recy Taylor was a young wife and a mother. She was just walking home from a church service she'd attended in Abbeville, Alabama, when she was abducted by 6 armed white men, raped and left blindfolded by the side of the road, coming home from church. They threatened to kill her if she ever told anyone. But her story was reported to the NAACP, where a young worker by the name of Rosa Parks became the lead investigator on her case. And together, they sought justice. But justice wasn't an option in the era of Jim Crow. The men who tried to destroy her were never pursued.
All right. So, yeah, I cut that short. Maybe you remember that. It was Oprah's speech that winning some award at an award show, and she was addressing, basking in the Me Too movement. So let me address 2 things, and then after that, I'm going to tell you why I used that clip. Number one, the people she was talking about, as far as, you don't know the names of these women. That's true. You don't. As a matter of fact, it's the women that we don't know the names of who are the ones who speak the loudest and their voice gets silenced. It's the common women who don't get decked out for the balls and the award shows and things like that, and you don't get to hear their voice. As a matter of fact, when you do hear their voice, they're slandered immediately and they're shamed. I'm not talking about the popular news stories, the bombshells that get people clicking and get people gossiping and just excited to see the demise of some individual. I'm talking about women who have genuinely been battered in occult rituals and satanic ritual abuse and just everyday trafficking, which is the most prolific form of slavery in the world today. We don't care about that. So Oprah's right. We don't hear their voice. Number two, she addressed how women endured abuse because they needed to pay bills. Now, that can be a very real reality for a lot of women. But this is what I want to tell you. If you're somebody who is currently enduring abuse by an employer or something like that because you feel like you can't be provided for, turn to Christ. This is not like a band-aid, fix them. I'm saying you're thinking about whether or not you're provided for can change. That's the fear. That's the reason we'd be willing to endure anything that we wouldn't typically be willing to endure for the sake of some money, is because we think that we're not cared for, seen, or provided for. Meanwhile, these very common used phrases in Christianity about God providing for his children, statements that Jesus made in the Gospel of Matthew, and comparing or juxtaposing the children of God with the grass of the fields and the birds of the sky and the beasts of the field. The birds, the beasts, and the grass are fed and clothed with splendor. And Jesus is saying, how much more does the Lord provide for his children? It's that type of mindset that would give someone the courage to say no to something that may be enticing, that you may be willing to suffer what you typically wouldn't be willing to suffer for the sake of getting paid. It's because you don't need this specific money in order to be provided for, because you have a Father in heaven that provides for you. And Jesus has come as humanity's sacrifice, a sacrificial lamb, that we would be given the right as children of God. I'm a sinner, you're a sinner. And Jesus died so that when I stand before the judge, my sin that I will have and have to receive his justice for, it was placed on Jesus's cross. And Jesus's perfect righteousness as God's son, perfect and holy, that identity is given to me. And so now I'll stand before not a judge, but a father. And because of that, in death, now in life, that's true in death. In life now, I walk as somebody who has a heavenly father who provides absolutely everything that I have. It's not just this little pat answer for me. It's very true. It's very true. He provides absolutely everything. So therefore, there are risks, holy and righteous risks that I can take, not being afraid to do it, because I know I have a father who provides for me in every single way. You've listened to the story on our podcast about me and my wife going through infertility, and we couldn't have children, and we were sad. And this is the hope we had. Not that we had a father who was guaranteed us children. We had a father who guaranteed us comfort, even if we couldn't have it. And so when you trust a father like that, then you can still cry out to him and ask him for things. And you could be okay if his answer is no, because you know he loves you and he'll provide you everything that you need, even though you think that everything is provided in his yes. But he is the one you actually need. Trust him, turn to him, and you will never sit at the hands of somebody's abuse just so you can get a paycheck. You'll have the confidence and the courage and the strength to walk away from it. You have a father in heaven who looks after you and protects you. And I have 3 little boys now. By the way, if you don't know our podcast story, we have 3 little boys. No scientific stuff, no whatever in vitro. We don't believe in that. None of that stuff. We have 3 boys. My wife got pregnant back to back to back to back, because he's a faithful God, and he's not faithful because he gave us children. He was faithful. He's always been faithful. So even if we didn't have children, he'd be a faithful God, and he'd be sanctifying us and growing us to look more like him as parents without biological children. So trust in him. He's a good father. Why am I sharing this? It's because in this facade, Oprah is receiving an award. And I think there were a couple of times where they did these grand moments where in the Me Too movement, what they're doing is they're recognizing that there was some noise getting a little bit too loud regarding abuse happening in Hollywood. And if the noise gets too loud, then it would encourage people who aren't famous, who have endured abuse that you'll never know about, to speak up. So we got a nice little dose of Hegelian dialectics that took place. You have the thesis. The thesis is that, hey, maybe Hollywood is institutionalized pedophilic sexual immorality and abuse. That's the thesis. The antithesis is saying, oh, no, it's not. None of that is the case. No one would ever do that in Hollywood. And obviously, that's not believable. So then you're offered the synthesis. What is the synthesis? Okay, there are a few people. Harvey Weinstein, yeah, he's just a bad guy. So we'll give you him. And then we'll give you at our award shows, we'll stand up and we'll wear buttons on our lapels and we'll say me too and we'll stand together. And so the world can know we got him. We did it. It's over now. Why does that matter? Because you have this makeup that's given to us, no pun intended, with Hollywood and all that. It's given to us to reorder our entire worldview so that people have their entire worldviews realigned so that when we end up with like headlines like the popular Diddy headlines and things like that, people actually go through cognitive dissonance saying, oh my gosh, how could that be? I can't believe that somebody like Puff Daddy, Diddy himself, who did nothing but, he made music sexualizing and objectifying women and talked about drugs and alcohol and violence. And I can't believe it that he would be somebody to chase down his girlfriend in a hotel room, beat her down and drag her back to the room. And then it gets worse. No, I just can't believe it gets worse. How could that be? It's because your entire worldview has been shifted right beneath your nose. There's a complete undercurrent in this thing called Hollywood where we're offered our heroes. We're offered people to look up to. And the only reason we look up to them is because they make believe people in front of us and we pay them money to do it good. Now, one of the best, Denzel Washington. Let me tell you something. As a person, I don't know Denzel Washington personally. So I can't tell you I think he's a good guy. I don't know him. But what we do realize is that a lot of people make those judgments about these Hollywood celebrities where we make very personal conclusions about these individuals and their moral standing and their principles because that's what's been offered to us in the synthesis. We get something presented to us. And so therefore, now we've concluded, I agree with the synthesis. This is a good person. They hate these things. They stand against this. Oprah is a person who stands against domestic violence, assaults against women, all that stuff, and she's vigilant against it. But she's Harvey Weinstein's friend. She's his friend. Now, when it comes down to the allegations, or I'm sorry, the abuse that Harvey Weinstein was doing, it was rampant. It's hard to know that somebody who could be a friend could do that under your nose and you not know it. It's possible. It's possible. But even after it all, if she's so vigilant against it and yet she had a friend who is doing it, then how come we didn't hear any rants just directly aimed at Harvey Weinstein? I mean, really just rubbing his face in the mud. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do, but I'm saying how come we didn't hear that? How come we didn't hear anything that said, you know what, I'm just completely and utterly disgusted that this man did this? We don't hear it with Diddy. We don't hear all his friends. Everybody loves Beyonce, Jay-Z, all of these people, Usher. We don't hear any of them in their outrage. But what we will see is we'll see them on that stage with Oprah, providing us another synthesis about how dark it was in Hollywood of this one person, this Jeffrey Epstein person, this Harvey Weinstein person. But don't fret, guys. We got him. We got him. And so I think that when we look at the headlines, that's right, it's selective outrage. And what's bad about the selective outrage is that we've adopted it. We've adopted the selective outrage. So without us even diving deep into the fallacious nature of Hollywood's demand for justice, we know that Hollywood doesn't value women. Come on, man. Women have been objects in Hollywood since Hollywood's inception. That's just how it is. You watch movies, they have to have sex scenes, they have to show you women and all this other stuff. Obviously, we've gotten more diverse in the things that we show. We've gotten more disgusting in the movies that we make and in the messages that we do. But when it comes to movies and entertainment, women are objects. And the women who aspire to be in those roles find themselves behind the eight ball when they demand to be respected. That's a tough reality to realize, that you've entered into a role unworthy of respect. And within that role, you're demanding respect. It's tough. It's an oxymoron. And that's why it doesn't happen. And so we take someone like Denzel, who's beloved. And why is he beloved? Because he's made good movies, right? Right? It's not, I mean, I don't think you got like a bunch of turkeys from Denzel for Thanksgiving or, all this other stuff. Maybe he gives to charities. A lot of these celebrities give to charities. So that's why we deem them moral, upstanding. We don't look at any other fruit. We look at those deeds. And people with that type of money, they know the value of those deeds. That's why they do them. You know who else did things, incredible things for their communities? Mafia bosses. Mafia bosses, mobsters. They were some of the most charitable people in their communities, if not the most charitable people in their communities. You can just do a deep dive on any mafia boss. Find out how active he was in his community. Bloods and Crips started as neighborhood watch. They cared about their communities. So it's a matter of what we call principles, what we call good, how we define good. And then you can actually have discernment on whether or not there's good fruit or if there's toxic and poisonous fruit. Now, Denzel got baptized and I guess awarded a certificate of minister, a minister certificate, the Kojic Church of God in Jesus Christ. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. I don't know what his baptism represents. I didn't watch any video. You're probably thinking, why are you doing this if you didn't watch a video? I'm not talking about that, but I do have a couple things to say. That just because one of your favorite Hollywood heroes gets baptized doesn't mean they're a believer. As a matter of fact, I think that it's reasonable for us to want to see more fruit. I'm not saying you have to be a pessimist and cynical and say, oh, no, they're not a Christian, they're faking. That's cynicism. That doesn't belong in the kingdom of heaven either. It doesn't belong in God's kingdom. However, discernment does. It doesn't matter if people get mad at you because you're not accepting the story given to you at face value. You can be skeptical. As a matter of fact, it was very reasonable for Christians of Paul's day. When Paul came to Christ, they were like, wait, who? I don't know. And you had a very smaller group of Christians who were actually combing through the scriptures regarding what Paul was teaching and saying to make sure that he's one of them, to see if there are any holes in his testimony and in his delivery of the gospel. And so that's important. Now, that remains to be seen for us. There's still time for us to see the fruit. But I think that Christians need to be slow to jump onto the bandwagon just because someone publicly make such a profession and they're a celebrity. The public declaration is great. That's what baptism is. It's a public declaration of something that has taken place internally. It doesn't save you. I don't know all who's watching this, but baptism doesn't save you. It doesn't save you. I think maybe Lutheran people are probably mad at me right now, or maybe want me to go in a little bit more of that, but I'm not. Baptism doesn't save you. However, we are to be baptized because our Lord told us to be baptized. And it is our public declaration. The symbolism of being dead in Christ, to being raised to life in him, to live a life to God in Christ, as Paul highlights in Romans 6. So he's baptized and he gets a minister certificate. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means he's going to be doing ministry. I don't know, but it's all a public spectacle. I'm not saying it's a false spectacle, but it is a spectacle. And one thing I started thinking about was, if you've listened to our podcast, and I've mentioned this multiple times, but when it comes down to celebrities who have come to Christ, or at least professed Christ, there is a genuineness to being hidden. I'm not saying there's no public declaration. I think that, oh no, I'm forgetting her name because I didn't watch her show, but there was like a tattoo artist or something like that. Kat Vaughn, Kate D. I forget. Somebody let me know. But she got baptized. And it wasn't really a spectacle. She just had a friend record it and she uploaded it to Instagram to show I belong to Christ now. That's a very big thing. That's a beautiful thing, actually, to say that not only am I going to release this public, or I'm not going to do this publicly in front of this local body here and some of my friends who aren't even believers in this church. Kat Von D, that's who it was. Kat Von D. Thank you, BJ. Um, but what she did was she posted it to Instagram because she had millions of other people she wanted to show. That's different. So I think that would be the same, even if we just saw a video of Denzel getting baptized. It's like Denzel got baptized, but no, he has to get some certificate awarded. It's like, what is all of that stuff? It's like when churches do things for the city and they got this big old ceremony where they got the big old check and they hand it to the mayor or something. I hate that stuff. The second thing is Denzel is awarded this Medal of Freedom. Matter of fact, let's look at that. Let me find it. And let's look at that. It's kind of weird.
Denzel Washington. The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is considered one of the greatest actors of our time. Over 4 decades on screen and stage, his portrayals of iconic figures and everyday people have earned him wide acclaim that includes 2 Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globes, and a Tony Award so far. The admiration of audiences and peers is only exceeded by that of the countless young people he inspires. With unmatched dignity, extraordinary talent, and unflinching faith in God and family, Denzel Washington himself is a defining character of the American story.
All right, so let's recap really quickly. I'm going to be a bit of a party pooper here, but here are the rules. That if you can portray a make believe person to the point where it moves people emotionally, then they'll love you. And if you do it very well, in Denzel's case, you do it as a corrupt detective who is a criminal and gangster and a murderer, then you'll win an award for it because of how powerful that is. And I guess if you have a career of that over time, then you get to meet the president and he gives you a medal. Right. I'm just trying to understand what that medal means. The different people up there, Hillary Clinton, Magic Johnson is up there, George Soros. What? If you know, you know. Okay, let's cut to it. Maybe a year ago, I ran into the Instagram page of a woman named Allie Carter. I'm going to share it. I ran into the Instagram page of a woman named Allie Carter, and Allie Carter makes some very what's the word I'm looking for? Grave claims and accusations. The main of which is that she is a survivor of sex trafficking. I'm sure that YouTube's going to have a great time with this video. I don't really care. This is live for you guys. But she is a survivor of sex trafficking, and she has a website as well. I'm going to show you guys these things, but I'm going to park on one of them. But this is Allie Carter. Let me show you her website also. Here. Let's go home. And what she's been doing all this time has just been telling her story. And obviously she's getting attacked for it. People not only call her a liar and things like that. And I'm not telling you she's telling the truth. I'm telling you what she's told. That's it. I don't know. My investigation is still here. But my heart and, my discernment is telling me that she's telling the truth because she has nothing to gain here. And what she's been doing has been telling these stories and talking about things that happen in the world of entertainment that people don't realize, that people celebrate, that people champion, that even when people are giving to organizations against sex trafficking, yet you're an avid moviegoer, you're contributing to the issues. That's ouch, right? Even me, ouch. You claim to want to fight against sex trafficking, but you are an avid giver of money to cinema. You're funding it, she says. And I think for people who are followers of our podcast, I mean, that's not shocking to you, right? That makes sense. But she's saying that the way that you think about your celebrities in this world of entertainment needs to change. She's a believer. She's rough around the edges, but she's a believer. At least she professes to be one. And so I've been kind of just watching from a distance for a while before sharing it. But now I'm to the point where I want other people to know about her. Many people know about her. I want other people to know about her, that you can do your own investigation and discernment and prayer for the things that she talks about and for her own heart, where she has a lot of scars, a lot of pain from what she says she has dealt with. And when the news broke about Diddy, she, before all this news broke about Diddy, was talking about that stuff. She was talking about it. Now, to be fair, in hip hop culture, a lot of people have been talking about that stuff. If you're a fan of hip hop and even underground hip hop, there are many conversations of people who are from inner city neighborhoods in the country. They aspire to be a rapper and they make it, or they semi make it. And they're about to get a record deal, and then they end up back in the hood, and they're telling a story about, hey, whatever happened, and they're doing interviews, and they're saying, look, it's not what I thought it was. It's like everybody seems to be pretty nasty in there, nasty. Like your favorite rap heroes, nasty. And so those types of quote unquote jokes have been going underneath the surface since I was an early teen. So there's knowledge of it, but even when it comes down to the Diddy investigation and the trial and everything that's happening with that, in the social media world, everything just turns into a meme. It turns into a joke where we joke about it. Yeah, Diddy, he did this. We watched full video of him chasing down a woman, beating her and dragging her back to his hotel room. But guess what? He got on TV and he apologized, said he's a new person, changed his name to Love. Poof. And we're good. And then one of his close friends gets up and performs during a football halftime, Beyonce. And we're all good because it's Ye, it's Beyonce, it's B. We're back to being enamored by this celestial picture we've been given to these humans, very flawed humans with very religious motifs, might I add. So I've lost my train of thought there, but I don't even know why I ended up talking about that. Oh, she was talking about that. Sorry. Allie was talking about that before that information broke, and the whoever that DJ was that had the first lawsuit that led to discovery and all this information coming out. But obviously when it broke, she decided to open up a little bit more. And I actually shared that. I shared it with our patrons. If you're a Patreon supporter, you've listened to it. I'm going to share a segment of it with you now because I want you to hear what she's talking about. And then we'll come back here. Let me find my Patreon page. Boom. Okay, listen up.
I was laughing because I wanted people to think that I was okay, so they didn't kill me. So there are things that would come out that people would assume, like, oh, everything is fine, they're fine. No, I was 15, 16.
Were there animals there?
Mm-hmm. Goats.
Did they turn the animals loose on the kids?
Yeah.
And if you got sick and threw up because it was so disgusting, what happened?
You had to eat it.
You had to eat your vomit
Mm-hmm.
if you threw up. That's satanic ritual abuse. Diddy was at this party? Denzel Washington was at this party.
Yep.
Birdman was at this party.
Yes, he was.
And Young Jock.
Yep.
And you're telling me Denzel was there and it was after 1 o'clock when he supposedly left?
And beanie, socks, and a gold chain.
So you're telling me Denzel Washington was butt naked. He had a beanie on, socks on, and a gold chain, and that's it. In front of children.
Yep.
Funny. Because he sure portrays himself to be holier than thou.
Yep. So a lot of them do.
I think you also told me that one of those men have a birthmark.
Left thigh.
So one of those men have a birthmark on their left thigh.
Yep.
So what was happening in this video is she went on Instagram Live after all this stuff was coming out, and she decided, she's basically saying, and I think it's still on her page. You can find her page, Ali Carter. I'm sorry. Let me bring it up. Boom. Let's get out of here. I'm going to come back to this video. But this is her page. And I think they have a few more as well. And there have been people on in different social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, who have tried to copy her and have been charging people to do interviews and things like that. And so she's very adamant, like, one, people don't do that. Or I'm sorry, people, that's not me, but also people will also share her content and charge people for it. So it's as if I share this with you and I only leave it behind a paywall so that people have to pay in order to know who she is. She's saying, please don't do that. Please don't do that. So, and I agree with her that if this is the truth, then why would you do that? Why would you not want people to know and more people to know, which is what she wants? Regarding her testimony, sorry, she was sharing that in an Instagram Live, and then kind of like in the middle of her sharing, she just got kind of like gun shy. And she, I think, well, if I can remember, I think she said that she was just dealing with, because she ended up doing another live the next day and kind of just spit it out so she could get it out and then ended it. But I think she was just dealing with just PTSD and some trauma as talking about it. So that's why you hear her mother, her adoptive mother, kind of chime in to try to draw things out of her and say, who was at this party? Who was this? And the list of people is very arbitrary, right? You got Diddy, you got Birdman. They're both in the music industry, but you also got Denzel that she names that's there. That's very random. Why on earth would she say that? Why on earth would she get down to specificities regarding what he's wearing and lack thereof? And then also in addressing the birthmark, I think that the reason they do that is so that the people who did it, when they listen to that, know she knows. Because they didn't name who it was. It's not for us to hear, I guess. Not for us to know. It wouldn't matter wouldn't make any difference for her to put a name to a birthmark. We don't know, but they do. And so these things plus more contribute to the veracity of her testimony, which says that this is what is at the foundation of all of our arts and entertainment. And Diddy is just another synthesis. See, guys, we're just like you. We hate sex trafficking. We hate sexual immorality and sexual abuse. We hate these things. We hate all this ritualistic nonsense that's very nasty. But there is this one guy that was doing it, and it's Diddy. But don't worry, we got him. And we'll make sure that you know everything that we know. We'll put out documentaries for you and all this other stuff. But there's about to be some discovery, prayerfully. I pray that there is more discovery that comes from this trial. Now, with that being said, how do you view the public spectacle of the baptism and the freedom of, the Medal of Freedom and things like that, to keep in front of our faces the idolatrous facade that we have for these celebrities like Denzel and everything else. That's just something to put in your bucket of discernment and questions to ask. When it comes down to professions of faith, this is going to sound weird to you, but one of the most genuine professions of faith that I had heard, and when it in the celebrity world, was Kanye West. You hear that word, you hear his name, you're like, oh no, he's crazy, he's crazy, he's crazy. But what if the whole point was for us to believe he's crazy and that real evil happens to these individuals to maybe justify us even calling them crazy? But let's rewind real quick. Did you ever see a baptism from Kanye? No. Did you ever see him walking the aisle at a church or receiving some, right hand of fellowship while being recorded at a church? No. Now you might be saying, yeah, but he went on tour and did the whole Sunday service thing. I think that that's what a young, immature believer in the music industry would do. He started showing up anywhere, singing about the Lord and having gospel preachers preach. Some of them. Mike Todd was at one of them. But like I said, he didn't know. He just went into the church sphere and started grabbing anybody he could and going anywhere. And I get it. We were discerning and judgmental too regarding that. And there are certain things we should judge what's good and what's bad and what to pay attention to and things like that. But what we watched was an immature believer try and grasp at what it means to be this new person in their old realm. But that's not even the most convincing piece of evidence for me. The most convincing piece of evidence was the fact that Kanye did attend a church for a few months. He did meet with a pastor. He didn't tell anyone about it. He sat with the pastor, met with him, sat under his preaching. When you heard Kanye talk about preaching, he explicitly said, hey, I don't want to be around preaching that's all hoobla, hubbly, bubbly. He literally said, I don't need sauce in my preaching. He said, I got that enough in the music industry. Everybody's sauced out. What I want in my preaching is expository, exegetical, word for word preaching. I want to read every word of my Bible, and I want you to tell me what it means. That's what he said. So how did he end up back in this crazy state with another woman, married so quickly, and just so happened she also enjoys taking her clothes off for everybody? I think because Hollywood is darker than we like to realize. And it's because of the synthesis that we've taken up. This new worldview that says that, yeah, there's evil in the world, but not in Hollywood. Look at how good they look in that dress and that tux. Look at how much money they gave to the community. Look at how nice he is. Oh, they got a nice little wife. Why do you think they're PR? Why do you think there's PR in Hollywood? They want to be in control of how you relate to them. They want to be in control of their image to you. That's why PR exists. And so when these scenarios like Diddy pops up, when we hear testimonies like Ali Carter's popping up, it's poking holes in that facade, that sheet, that veil that is above our eyes. And we go through the cognitive dissonance and we say, nope, that's not true. I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe it. But I pray to God that light is shown on these things. I pray to God that some of your heroes are exposed to be sinners in need of a savior. Because if there is any worldview that accounts for the claims that I'm making regarding the entertainment industry and this world, it's the Christian worldview. That evil exists in the world, and it's not just evil where people be stealing and cussing sometimes. Dark evil, dark enough to warrant the creator of the universe to be manifest in the flesh, come, be slandered, and bleed at the hands of his creation, just so he can defeat death itself, rise again from the dead to create a new humanity. Man, that's drastic. It's drastic. And I think it's time for Christians to really recognize how that plays out in our day-to-day. in the things that we're fond of in this world. It's great to enjoy entertainment. I'm not saying never watch a movie again, never listen to a song again, but you are learning the most when you think you're being entertained. And if you're a believer that neglects their time with the Lord, that neglects growing in the knowledge of Scripture, then you're blinded and you're being wooed to this world. And why is that dangerous? Because you're going to think the world is your friend. Why is that dangerous? Because if you're a friend with the world, you're an enemy with the one you profess to call Father. That's important. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Tell me your thoughts. Look into Ali Carter. Oh, you know what? Before I go, nope. One more. I just want you to hear this. I want you to hear this clip from Ali.
Against humanity. I want to go A to Z. My mother and I, us, you'll see. Adrenochrome, what it looks like. Agencies. I want to talk about agencies and 501c3s. And when you're collecting money for something like this, you don't get it. We are talking about children being sold. Evil blood money. So when you're collecting money for things that have been done with blood money, you don't get it. We have a few affidavits on Barack Obama, Michelle, hermaphrodite, Joseph Biden, Oprah, Hussein Outlaw, many, many more. We have court orders, police reports, rape kits, sworn affidavits, CPS reports. They collected a paycheck on every single time I ran away. They collected a paycheck on every single time I was assaulted because it made a bigger case. It gives a bigger paycheck to the foster parents. It gives a bigger paycheck to the government. Foster care only runs on children, like Monsters, Inc. Why won't anybody talk about where the missing children are? Oprah, what's going on with that school? The truth is free. So what the hell are these organizations doing besides making merch, tickets, tours, movies? I'm going to use my big girl words.
Now, maybe this is your first time hearing these things and it's hard to wrap your mind around. So, process through it. Process through it. Don't just dismiss it. Don't neglect it. Dave Chappelle, you in the vein of entertainment, Dave Chappelle said something very profound a while ago when he was accused of running away to Africa, or being crazy. He was accused of being crazy because he ran away to Africa. He literally ran away from them offering him something that he wanted nothing to do with. Now, he's back and he's got specials and everything else. Don't know why. But he was saying you never call somebody crazy because it's dismissive. It's dismissive. And that's the weapon that we're given. The ones, us who are the reposting and we're doing the social media stuff, we're talking to each other. When the media tells us to call someone crazy, we do it. Like good little obedient slaves. We do it. It happens in politics, entertainment. It's the same strings being pulled in the same way that we would not view this world from a biblical and truthful lens, but we do it through a secular and entertainment-based one, a worldly lens. That's flawed. That entire principle is why our podcast is the title that it is. We don't have any clarity on the things we're talking about without a biblical lens. It's blurred from personhood to everything else. So you never call someone crazy because it's dismissive. So maybe Allie's not telling the truth. If that's the case, deduce that. Deduce it naturally and organically. Don't call her crazy, though, because it means you're not concerned with whether or not it's true. You're being dismissive. The things that she highlights, there are things that corroborate those stories that are disconnected. I'm talking about independent eyewitness testimony. In the same way that our scriptures are corroborated. There's a story from maybe 30 years ago now of a woman being found in Haiti, crossing the border of Haiti with over 30 children. That woman was in charge of what's it called? What's the alert thing called? The alert when you're looking for missing children. Oh man, something alert. I forget. My brain's turning off right now. My boys are upstairs jumping up and crazy. It's crazy. I can't think. But yeah, whatever that alert system is, she was in charge. She was a manager for that, or in some higher managerial role for that. More importantly, she worked for the Clinton Foundation. I know all of the Amber Alert. Thank you, Kim. Amber Alert. And you can look this up. You know, the reason when it comes down to these quote unquote conspiracies is the reason a conspiracy theory thing. It's another synonym for crazy, right? I was with a group of pastors a couple weeks ago in a cohort, in a collective. We were talking about these things and talking about, you know, conspiracies. Like, you believe in conspiracies? I'm like, who doesn't believe in conspiracies? The question is, do you believe when a conspiracy is an actual conspiracy, or do you believe the TV tells you about it? Are you willing to to look for evidence to see if it's true? Because conspiracies exist. People conspire all the time. I said, what our TV wants us to believe is that the opposite of a conspiracy theorist is a rational thinker. That's what our TV has made you to believe, that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a rational thinker here. That's not the opposite of a conspiracy theorist. The opposite of a conspiracy theorist is a dismissive person. That's the opposite. So conspiracy theorists, quote unquote, are rational individuals. You give them evidence, answer questions. If it you know adds up, okay, that doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem like it fits. But what do we typically get when you ask questions? You get silenced. You get called crazy. And then the chorus joins in. So don't call Allie crazy. Look into it. Look at her page. Listen to her testimony. And make your own decisions. But for the love of all that is true, holy, and good, stop idolizing these people who make believe. That's what their professional career is. It's make believe. They act. Yeah, sure, we call it art, but it's make believe. See you guys. We got a couple episodes coming out. We got an episode dropping tomorrow, our first New Year's episode. I've got a video on YouTube out now, so check that out. I can't remember what it is. Just look at our YouTube page. What is it about? Oh, it's about the Fox News thing, Fox Sports thing. It's not about the whole gossip behind it. It's about something deeper than that regarding womanhood, how we view womanhood, and kind of connected to this as well. But so check that out, and be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube page. We're trying to get that going. We don't do ourselves any favors by the things that we talk about, but I'm not trying to become a millionaire through YouTube and podcasting. I'm just trying to be faithful with my voice, and my brother is as well too. So we hope that we provide great, encouraging, and thought-provoking content to you, but we pray that you guys stay vigilant and seeking the truth. So I'll see you later. Peace.